A woman kneels in the dust. She is thin, trembling, not old, but famine has aged her. Her bones protrude through a threadbare dress. Her face is ash. Her fingers claw at the ground. Around her, others bend too, not in prayer, but in desperation, scraping at the dirt for flour. Not even full grains, just remnants, scraps, whatever the wind and boots and bombs have not yet claimed. Then she breaks. She sinks fully to the earth, as if the weight of hunger is too heavy to carry, and she cries, not softly, but with a violence that cuts through the silence of the ruined street. My kids will eat flour scraped from the floor. She weeps into the gravel. This is not just starvation. It is the calculated breaking of a people, pushing them beyond the limits of human endurance. This is what Gaza's aid looks like. Not distribution, oppression, not relief, ritual, debasement. The flour had been withheld for weeks, stockpiled, blocked, used as bait. Exhausted families walk for miles, past corpses in craters to reach the drop sites, only to find cages, soldiers, drones, and when they run toward the food, they are shot. On June 1st, at least 31 Palestinians were massacred and more than 170 wounded near an aid distribution site in Rafah as Israeli forces opened fire on starving civilians trying to collect food. The drop was coordinated by the very same Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, GHF. Aid has become a trap and hunger a pretext for slaughter. They have built a bureaucracy of starvation. They call it the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, but let's call it what it is, the Gaza Humiliation Foundation. It doesn't deliver aid, but control. It rations not food, but suffering. Even the food they promise, 1750 calories per person, is not enough to stave off malnutrition. The World Health Organization sets the emergency minimum at 2,100 calories, but most Gazans receive far less than that because the food never comes. In April 2024, under the General's plan, people in northern Gaza were surviving on 245 calories a day, less than a granola bar. Grandparents chew flour laced with sand. Toddlers are fed leaves. The body begins to consume itself. The mind flickers. The breath slows. Death does not fall in a bomb from the sky. It rises quietly from the gut, a slow, aching disintegration. And all of this is not accidental. It is replication. In the weeks leading to Germany's 1941 invasion of the Soviet Union, Reich Minister for Food Richard Darre and State Secretary Herbert Buck developed the Hunger Plan, a strategy of deliberate starvation to exterminate Soviet civilians and Jews while feeding German troops. It killed at least 7 million people, not as collateral, but by design. The Nazi regime's food ration system reflected racial hierarchy: 100% for Germans, 70% for Poles, 30% for Greeks, 20% for Jews. In the Jewish ghettos, food was weaponized. Access to meat or bread was controlled. Shops were empty. Hunger was not a failure, it was policy. Hans Frank, Nazi governor of occupied Poland, says that we sentenced 1.2 million Jews to die of hunger should be noted only marginally. Today, 2.4 million Gazans, the entire population, are being forced by design into famine. Not 1 million, not most, all of them, women and men, infants and the elderly, no one is spared. And yet, in a twisted echo of history, GHF's plan, like the Nazi food hierarchies before it, formally excludes 1.2 million people from its initial phase, and that should never be noted marginally. Even if GHF achieves its goals, the average Gazan by design will receive 800 calories a day, the exact same number the Nazis allowed Jews in the Warsaw Ghetto. This is not analogy, it is arithmetic. Gaza is now the hungriest place on earth, the only place where 100% of the population is at risk of famine, according to the United Nations. 93% of children are at risk of critical malnutrition. Meanwhile, Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich declared that not even a grain of wheat should enter Gaza. In Britain, the pro-Israel legal lobby, UK Lawyers for Israel, grotesquely suggested the war might help reduce obesity in Gaza. This is not just cruelty, this is contempt. It is mockery of the dying. Even the man appointed as CEO of the Gaza Humiliation Foundation, a former US Marine, resigned, warning that the project is incompatible with humanitarian standards. And no wonder, this is not a relief effort, it is a siege conceived by Netanyahu, endorsed by Trump, and inspired in logic and layout by the Nazi hunger plan. Armed gangs loot aid convoys with impunity, moving freely in areas under Israeli control. A UN memo warns these groups may be operating with passive, if not active, benevolence from the IDF. When Gaza's police tried to stop them, Israeli airstrikes killed 12 officers, not the looters, those trying to protect the food. This is not chaos, it is calculated breakdown to turn hunger into disorder, to turn starvation into surrender. There are conflicts in the world, there are wars, occupations, displacements, but nowhere on earth, not anywhere, is an entire population, young and old, locked inside a flattened, walled-off strip of land, bombed from the air, shelled from the sea, and systematically starved under total siege. Gaza is not a battlefield, it is a prison, a graveyard. 80 years ago, a group of Jewish doctors in the Warsaw Ghetto documented the effects of hunger on the human body. They called it la maladie de famine, the disease of starvation. Dr. Israel Milachowski wrote, "I hold my pen in my hand and death stares into my room. In this prevailing silence lies the power and the depth of our pain and the moans that one day will shake the world's conscience." This is exactly what doctors in Gaza are saying today. They treat toddlers who haven't eaten in days. They watch infants die with sunken eyes and protruding ribs. They speak to the world, but the world doesn't listen. After raising their homes, their schools, their bakeries, after displacing them again and again, infants on shoulders, elders in wheelchairs, entire families turned to ash. Now they're denied bread. Gaza's people are not just being starved, they're being stripped of the final thing left to them, their dignity, treated worse than animals, hunted when they gather, shot when they eat, because Israel is not content with crushing Palestinian bodies. It wants to crush their souls, to erase not just their presence, but their will to exist. And while the world looks away, somewhere in a corner of the rubble, a mother kneels, still scraping, still crying, trying to feed her children with flour dusted in dirt and drenched in blood.